Disclosure Day is the latest original movie from directing legend Steven Spielberg, with a screenplay from Jurassic Park co-writer David Coeb based on a story by Spielberg himself. Disclosure Day is a sci-fi thriller following Daniel Kellner, a cybersecurity whistleblower carrying hard drives with top-secret files detailing decades of alien contact with the help of Margaret Fairchild, a meteorologist with newfound abilities, as they race to broadcast these secrets, evade a sinister government corporations, and expose extraterrestrial life to the world. This will be a spoiler-free review, but before we get into it, have you seen Disclosure Day yet? If you have, what did you think of it? And if you haven't, are you interested in seeing it? Let me know down in the comments, and without wasting any more time, let's just jump straight into it. Starting off with the good, if you looked at this movie solely based on the technical aspects, I'd say you'd have a really good movie. The way it's shot is interesting, it doesn't look bad at all, the action sequences are well paced and are very engaging, especially one that involves a train towards the middle of the film. That was very well done. The sound design for this movie is really good as well, from how the aliens talk to how the aliens' devices sound to just the basics of happening day to day. It's really good stuff. And the acting across the board is great. Emily Blunt is probably the standout when it comes to this. She's really giving the role her all, and you feel that without her performance. And that's not saying Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Coleman Domingo, or anyone else aren't doing a good job. Heck, Coleman Domingo probably has the best monologue of the entire film. But Emily Blunt is just giving it her all, and it shows throughout the film. And the score, man, the score is really good. John Williams always gives his all to a film when it comes to an original score, and he does that with Disclosure Day as well. I don't know if this is going to be his final film as a composer, but if this does end up being his final score, I don't think you could ask to go out on a better one. Really good stuff overall that harkens back to the 80s feeling while also feeling fresh and unique in a ways John Williams is always so good at doing. Everything about this film on a technical side of making movies is really well done, and if you're someone who appreciates that side of the craft, I think you could come out of Disclosure Day really appreciating it just because of that. But all of those really important things don't make a good movie overall, and Disclosure Day to me misses on what I personally find most important of a movie. Moving on to the bad, Disclosure Day has at its core a really solid message that's very timely and definitely should be out there. The urging of people to talk to each other logically and then being able to hear each other emotionally. That is a great theme to have and perfect for where we are right now as a society. Spielberg and Coep knew what they were doing when they landed on that theme, but to me, the movie is very telling and not so much showing. There's one sequence that I brought up before that's a monologue given from Coleman Domingo's character to Colin Firth's character about empathy and how it's what evolution holds at its highest or something to that regard without going too much into detail. It's a really well done monologue, but if they didn't have that monologue, to me, the story doesn't do a good job at portraying its themes at all. I'm not against exposition dumping. Hell, movies are mainly that at its core, but if your whole theme can kind of just be thrown out the window if you take one dialogue sequence out of your movie has kind of failed to make its themes known and be well defined. The best movie's themes aren't solely dependent on one singular scene, so much so that if it's taken away, then the whole movie just feels like it's wasting your time. To me, that movie doesn't really have anything to say in a meaningful way, and maybe that's just me, but even looking back at it, Emily Blunt's character is kind of the encapsulation of empathy in this movie. She has these powers that are awoken in her that pretty much lets her see into the lives of people around her and are able to talk them through what they need to do better with the situation as well. When it's first shown off, it's kind of just random, and as the audience, we don't really know what's happening. She's just saying stuff to get herself out of the situation while giving good advice. I think a better way of portraying this would have been for the first few scenes with this happening. We get to see what she's seeing. It lets the audience understand better what you're trying to get at and helps solidify your themes more. That what she's saying is coming from a deep understanding and want to truly help people. A small change like that really helps define your movie's themes earlier on, and then you're set for the rest of the film. That monologue that you have later in the movie feels way more impactful and it isn't the anchor for your movie's themes. And going back to Emily Blunt's character's powers, they're mainly used just to get out of any situation that she and Josh O'Connor characters gets into when they finally meet up. All the tension at that point is kind of just thrown out the window, and there's no reason to worry about them anymore. To me, it just feels like they didn't know how to get certain sequences to happen without these powers. That just doesn't seem to work on some people, or she's just choosing not to use it on some people. I don't know what it is, but for someone who just had these powers for less than a few days, it seems like she's able to control them really well. So why is it that she's either choosing not to use them on everyone, or do the people who it's not working on don't have problems for them to really work on? I don't know. There are no answers to her powers, and it's just kind of frustrating from that point of view. To me, it's just a way for them to write themselves out of these corners that they've written themselves into, and unfortunately, you as the audience, you just have to roll with it. And I don't really like that at all. To me, it's very lazy, and from two people who are really talented, why are we resorting to that? Could you really not think of anything else? And if that's the case, why not try to rewrite it so it doesn't feel that way? Moving off the movie's themes and powers that work in very mysterious ways, the movie's characters aren't anything to write home about. They're not interesting in the slightest. They feel like they're just filler to help move the plot forward. And some of them just do really stupid stuff for whatever reason just to give us another chase sequence. To me, if you can't make me sympathize with your main characters, I don't care what ends up happening to them. I don't want to see them necessarily fail in their endeavors, but I couldn't care less, especially when one of them can just get out any situation that she's put into, no matter what it is. It just throws out all the tension that you've been building up, and it just makes it seem like everything else is meaningless if you just have these powers that can do whatever you want, pretty much. And lastly, I'm not going to get into specifics here, but the third act of this movie is one of the most bland, uninteresting, and unsatisfying conclusions to a movie that I've seen in a while. To me, it seemed like they had all these boxes they wanted to check off, even if checking off those boxes means that there is no tension, the stakes don't feel like they're that high, even though they're supposed to be. World War III is happening potentially in the background, the setups for it is happening, but that doesn't matter at all in the movie. It's just there to be there for whatever reason. And with the quote-unquote disclosing of alien secrets, that's also, it doesn't feel like the stakes are high at all. It's really weird to me. And I don't really understand, after probably an hour and 40 minutes, that's the way you choose to end your movie. To me, it feels like my time was wasted, and I don't like when movies make me feel that way. I want to feel satisfied when I leave the theater, not feel frustrated and annoyed by how the movie decides to end itself. It's just not a good way to end the movie, and I wish they found something more interesting to end on. While Disclosure Day is a technically sound movie, it fails to capitalize on its themes, has uninteresting characters across the board, ends on such a low note that it might put people off of the film entirely. Disclosure Day, to me, gets a 5 out of 10. It's not an awful or even bad movie, but coming from such a legendary director, I was just hoping Disclosure Day would have ended up wowing me more than it did. Thank you all for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great rest of your day.